Hey, it's Friday, June 13th, 2025. And I don't want anybody to take credit for this unless they posted something before Friday, June 13th. I've been thinking about this for well over a year now, and I have yet to hear anybody say what I'm about to say. I believe that hypergamy is a symptom of a disease. And I would say that the majority of American women living in the city operating under this attitude of, yeah, I'm hypergamous and, this is what I want and this is what I'm looking for, is the victim of the power of suggestion. The power of suggestion. And it was almost like I was thinking about the DSM and how they had reclassified certain mental disorders, and instead of calling them mental disorders, they just didn't classify them as a disorder. They made it more like this is a normal variation of human existence. And I just don't think that that's really the case. In fact, there was a guy named Antoine Mesmer, and he lived in the 1800s. He even had an audience with Marie Antoinette, where he was able to heal a lot of people just by the power of suggestion. Just by the power of suggestion. So I think that in the manosphere, all of this talk, and here we got a guy getting on Dr. Phil, sounding very scientific, very educated concerning the behavior of women. And I honestly think that it is a mental disorder. And let me kind of give you my case to elaborate this point. We've had cats that created cults that managed to get a whole bunch of people. Like this guy, I remember when I was a little boy, it was a guy named Jim Jones. And he bought some land in Guyana and built a nice little compound out there. Like over 900 people living there. And he managed to persuade all of these people to drink this poison cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. And so it's at a point where a lot of people said, well, if one man can get people to get into this mental state of hysteria, in a mental state of not really working towards their own best interest, then why not a family? Why not a city? And better yet, why not a nation? Because everybody said that Germany was that nation of history that was seduced into a hysteria where they truly believed in this master race. And if they couldn't make it happen, then by means of eliminating these inferior races, because that's what ultimately this notion of Darwinism and evolution is actually trying to promote, then it's quite possible that in the United States and in nations in the West, we have been so cleverly seduced by the power of suggestion into believing things that just aren't true and things that ultimately work against our own better self-interest. So I would like to hear people's thoughts, because I'm going to come back maybe this evening and give you guys some real supporting information, because I'm doing a little research and it's gone back for about 6 months, where I'm going to actually support my case here that our dysfunction here in the West has migrated to other nations. China picked up on it, and despite all of this dysfunction that we see in our society, people are still, they ain't figured it out. They haven't figured out. It's like, I'm sick and I need to get well. And I'm at the point where in the case of me dealing with my family, where I'm coming to discover, that there's certain behaviors and dysfunctions that I've come to normalize. In fact, black people, I would say, we normalize our dysfunction to the point where comedians make millions of dollars making us laugh about this stupid stuff we see going on in our lives every day. And us laughing about it, hearing the stand-up shows over and over again, we laugh about it to a point where it doesn't really have any effect on us to say, you know what, this kind of behavior needs to stop. Because although we had a good laugh at it, it's not working. It's not giving us the payoff that we want. It was like I was watching this episode of the Boondocks where the attorney, he gets possessed by stink meter, the spirit of stink meter. And he needs to get exercised, and Ruckus comes to exercise. And as he's walking up the stairs, he's talking about all of the tools that the great white God has given us to exercise our nigga spirits. Because the nigga spirit doesn't want to read, because one of the movements that Ruckus did to torment the nigga spirit was he opened a book and showed it to the nigga spirit, and he told him to read, and all of a sudden, the possessed body of the attorney starts levitating off the bed, and then from there, they proceed to start beating him with whips and belts and the bare hands, anything they could do. And we're laughing at this, and at the end of the show, I'm talking to my kids and explaining to them that this is funny, but it ain't funny. Because if you guys ain't careful, this is going to be you that they're talking about. And to this day, they don't even see how they're lining up to meet up with the attitude of the nigga spirit. So we just got to humble ourselves to stop laughing at other people without possibly considering, you know what, maybe that's me in that video, and that's why I'm laughing, to keep from crying. Because do I really want to be this guy? If I do, then great. Everybody's going to be looking at you and laughing at you as you walk away, and hoping and praying that none of their relatives happen to like you, because you're going to become a burden to them. But anyway, that's my thought for today. I hope I can get another thought in later on this evening. Talk to you guys later.